Hi, and welcome to Make Me Like It, a web series about food and nostalgia. I'm Corrine Collins. I'm a university professor and a home baker, and I'm here to revisit some of the food I ate in childhood that I disliked and to see if I can make myself like it as an adult. When we talk about the food we ate as kids, it's usually through a sense of nostalgia. We talk about the things that we liked, the things that we miss, but what if we didn't like all of the food that we ate as kids? And what if some of the things that we didn't like are things that are considered to be culturally significant or traditional? I grew up in a British Jamaican household, and I didn't like a lot of the things that I felt like I should like, and I'm here to revisit some of the worst things, the things that I hate the most, to see if I can make myself like them now. Let's see how it goes. So what I want to make today is a queen of puddings. It's a British dessert that isn't really that popular anymore, but you might have seen it on TV shows like Great British Bake Off or another British cooking show. It's basically 3 layers, a baked custard layer that is thickened with breadcrumbs, then there's a layer of jam. It's usually raspberry, but it could be any other fruit, and then it's topped with a meringue. I remember having it a few times when I was a kid and hating it. The custard that's thickened with breadcrumbs has a texture, a softness that I really don't like. And then the softness of the meringue with that made it really, really unappetizing for me. Queen of puddings has a fairly long history. The first recorded recipe is from 1669, and that one has the same layers as our contemporary version. But there are also recipes for variations that have slightly different names and slightly different ingredients. I've seen recipes for this dessert or its variations in cookbooks from England, but also in the United States and the Caribbean. Whenever we talk about British food, we usually also have to talk about colonialism and empire. In the case of Queen of Puddings, it's the sugar, one of the main ingredients, that is connected to histories of enslavement and colonization. Sugar was produced with exploited labor from enslaved Africans and also indentured servants after the end of slavery. And it's this exploited labor that made sugar available to people in England and the United States to use in desserts like Queen of Puddings. So the first thing that we're gonna do is tear some pieces of brioche because we're not gonna use breadcrumbs. So I'm really just gonna tear like this. It can be big pieces. It's all just gonna end up soaking up the custard mixture, and it's gonna be sort of like a baked French toast, bread pudding type texture. So next we're gonna work on the custard. I've got 2 egg yolks here, and I'm gonna add brown sugar to it. And I'm just gonna whisk it up a little bit, just to incorporate everything. So I'm gonna set this aside, and then we're going to combine the milk. I'm gonna add my butter, and then I'm going to take 1 orange. I wanna do quite a lot because I want quite a lot of orange flavor. And then I'm also gonna do the same with the lemon. So now I'm gonna turn the heat on. I'm gonna put it on a medium high. We just wanna bring the milk to a simmer. So the milk is just coming to a simmer now, and the butter is fully melted. I'm gonna take it off the stove. I'm gonna whisk my egg yolks while I pour this gradually into here, just to make sure that the eggs don't curdle. Just add a little bit to start with. Then I'm gonna add a bit more. So I've whisked that all together, and now I'm just gonna add my vanilla. Just gonna add it right at the end so that we get that nice vanilla flavor. And now I'm gonna pour this mixture over the torn bread. Typically, recipes tell you to pour the egg yolk mixture onto the breadcrumbs and leave it to sit for a few minutes, but I'm going to put it in the oven straight away because I don't want that soggy bread texture. Just moving it all around, just trying to get as much of the bread soaked as I can. Okay, and now that's ready to go straight into the oven. So that's gonna bake for about 15 minutes at 350 degrees. The next thing that we're gonna do is make the meringue. So I'm just gonna put the leftover egg whites from when I separated the yolks from the eggs in here, and I'm just gonna beat it until it starts to foam up and get thick and starts to hold shape. So now I'm gonna gradually add the sugar while the mixer is running. If I add it all at once, it could deflate the egg whites, and then I'll just end up with like meringue soup. So I'm just gonna add it gradually, and I'm gonna beat it until stiff peaks. So when I take the whisk out, the meringue should stand straight up when I hold it. Now the sugar's all incorporated, I'm gonna turn the speed all the way up so that it beats it to those stiff peaks that we want. Just gonna check it. When I hold it up, you can see that it's still bending over a little bit, so I wanna beat it a little bit more so that it stands straight up. Just like that. This is good. Okay, so now this is ready to go on top. So we're gonna pull our custard out of the oven and we're gonna put our raspberries on top and then put the meringue on top and put it back into the oven for 15 more minutes. So this is exactly what we want. It smells really good. We have exposed bread pieces that have gotten a little bit crunchy. So hopefully we get some textural contrast when we put the meringue on top. So now I'm just gonna put the raspberries on top. I'm just gonna really kind of sprinkle them. It doesn't really matter how they're on there. It also doesn't matter that there's not full coverage over the top of the custard. Normally, it would be a very thin layer of jam that they put on here. I'm replacing this with raspberries so we don't get as much sweetness, but it's totally fine that they're not completely covering the bread. So now I'm just gonna put the meringue on top. Just gonna do big blobs like this, and then I'm gonna smooth it out a little bit. Let me get this spoon right here. Queen of Puddings partially gets its name because the top of it looks like a crown. So people do piped meringue on top where they make it look like peaks. I'm just gonna smooth it out a little bit. Then I'm just gonna do some decorative swooshes here, little points. And even though we can see the raspberries, when it bakes it should puff a little bit, so all of that should be covered. And that's ready to go in the oven. So that's gonna be in the oven for about 15 minutes. The top's gonna brown, the raspberries are going to get nice and soft, and then after that, we'll give it a taste and see how it is. Here it is after baking and cooling down just a little bit. So now it's the moment of truth. I have to try it. So I'm just going to take a little scoop. You can see the layers there. We have the custard at the bottom, the raspberry and the meringue. It actually smells really good, but I'm scared. It's not bad. It's way better than I remember it being. The orange in here is actually really good. The lemon's really good. The raspberry's nice and tart. The meringue is soft and the custard is soft, but it doesn't feel like mushy. I think I did it. Go me. I'm actually gonna have another bite because it was quite enjoyable. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Well, I guess I successfully made myself like it. Thanks so much for watching and coming on this journey with me. Let me know if you decide to embark on your own Queen of Puddings, and I'll see you next time.